are some of the pitfalls that you see with the whole notion of taking care of yourself financially? Let's take it at that level and not necessarily conceive that I'm planning for retirement. The most fundamental issue, I think, as I see it, is that we don't embrace the thought of it. We fail to think about it. And we can go around the room again today and come up with a multiplicity of reasons why, but I think the essence of it depends on what you said, that people never feel they have enough money to live, far less to live into retirement. And I think it's a fundamental mistake. So that's the first thing. I think by ignoring a thing, by being afraid of a thing, is not a strategy, actually. Until you embrace the thought that if I live long enough, I don't want to outlive my money, and therefore I need to do something about it. So that would be my first point for you today. If you take away nothing, at least embrace it, okay? The second thing is people believe that they never have enough money to save. And it turns on the prices in the supermarket. And the reality is that they're getting worse. An equal reality is that life is. And if you live to retire, it is still an issue. And the question is, how am I going to do it? And so the how am I going to do it, I have, actually for the women that I mentor, and I love it, one of the fundamentals and basic is, how do you save? And the response typically is, I make enough money to pay my bills, and that's it. But the reality is, if you're making enough money to pay your bills, you're spending too much. So it's either that you're going to reduce your spending or you're going to increase your income. Because you cannot be working for just enough to pay your bills. And I think sometimes what people are not aware of is the fact of how we waste money. And so the challenge I'm going to give everybody in this room today is to think about how much money you waste on an ongoing basis. And then take that money and save it. I use the example of $25 a week, and anybody in here can think about how they waste $25 a week. You buy lunch twice, it's not only $50 a week. And if you would consciously and dedicated to it, meaning intentional about it, you can save. And you can save by cutting out the waste that we carry. Some of us go to hairdressers every week, and I do. But you have to choose what you're going to spend your money on and stop wasting the money in the spaces you don't. And then start to accumulate your money towards saving. Because you cannot get into retirement and you cannot get into what happens for those of us who have children and do not want to leave them without. You cannot get to that place unless you're assessing your income and your expenditure. Okay? And I think that's enough because there's a lot that we can talk about, but the fundamental point is that you have to adjust your spending, and then you have to assess, how do I increase my income?